I'm sure you're wondering why I'm in a bird blind right now, and it is because Nikon has released their 2.0 update, which includes bird tracking, finally. Let's do some testing today, see exactly how well this works in the wild. Let's see if it does provide any extra boost when trying to shoot wildlife. Currently, I'm using a pinpoint detect right now on my 24-120 Z lens, and it is following this bird. And it was just lost in the tree there, and it's still lost in the tree. All right, we have our next subject here that I have selected, and it's been lost almost right away in this brush here, unfortunately. Oh, there we go. It's picked the bird up once more, and it's lost it again on the brush. Just last week I released a video requesting a few different things that I had hoped that they would add to the Nikon Z6III. One of which was improved viewing assist LUT, and they have actually fulfilled my requests, and they're now using one that is a little closer to the red LUTs that are available for this camera and all cameras that shoot in N-Log. So far, I think the colors are improved and should be a little bit easier to monitor and pick exposures properly because of this. Another really useful addition to this 2.0 update was its ability to use this mode called auto capture that is on the Z8 and the Z9. With this mode, you can set it to capture when subjects move into a scene or even a distance that you select in the scene. I can see this being particularly useful in things like motocross, dirt biking, different action sports, and this works also in photo and video, which is pretty sweet. Going on to the next new feature added, I'm not done yet. They added the ability to use exposure bracketing in the pixel shift setting. And pixel shift is a mode that allows you to get a higher resolution out of your images, allowing you to get, I believe it's like a 96 or around 100 megapixel image using pixel shift mode. And now you'll be able to get a more HDR-like image, exposing in some of the shadows and also not blowing out the highlights at the same time. And you can also stack this with their focus stacking mode as well, so you can get an image that's all in focus and exposure blended properly at a high megapixel count. Let's now do a shot with the pixel shift and exposure blending mode. In order to get into this pixel shift shooting mode, you're going to want to go into your photos, then pixel shift shooting, or there's also the focus shift shooting here as well. So I'm going to go pixel shift, turn that on for a single photo. Now, number of shots, I'm going to use 32 for the best results. Delayed 2 seconds to reduce shake. And under options here, you're going to have to select your bracketing. So as you can see here, how I've selected this. Hopefully there's not too much glare. Okay, let's go back, and you're going to want to probably set a starting storage folder as well for that, just to kind of keep things out of the way. Okay, let's now record this image and be prepared. It's about to take a ton of photos. It's still going. All right, so now our completed image is in the midst of all these files that we just shot. Unfortunately, it doesn't auto combine all of them in camera, which is something that is a real bummer. We're going to have to actually use their Nikon picture control app, which is honestly a pretty big hassle, and I'm not going to be too excited to use it, honestly. Please have it done in camera like Panasonic does. It's something that I'm sure a lot of people would like. Looking at this raw image here, we're going to look at the center. Now into the corners. Let's compare this now with the pixel shift / exposure bracketed image. Both images, I think, honestly, look more than good enough, and this 24-105 lens is pretty damn sharp. Me and my friend here were just talking about how they actually added a feature that is first ever on a Nikon camera, and it is brought to this Nikon Z6III, and it is the content authenticity feature that allows you to stamp your photos, proving that it was shot on the Z6III and it is not indeed an AI photograph. A lot of people are excited about this one. I'm not sure exactly how useful it's going to be for me, but it's nice to have this option, and I'm really curious how it detects whether or not the image has been tampered from its original source photo. Interesting stuff. All right, so I haven't had the best luck with this mode so far. There's a bird in the water currently, and I don't see it locking focus on it at all, except for when it went into water and it created that bit of a ripple. Otherwise, it wasn't locking on to the bird one bit. And where did he go? Why do these birds keep hiding in the water? I've had so many mosquitoes bite me this last little bit here. It's a terrible spot to be. I hope you guys appreciate this. I really understand why people have lenses that go as far as 800 millimeters away. Having this 120 lens is really quite difficult. I understand this is mostly just probably user error, but I haven't had the best results, and these birds, oh, there we go, got one. Action time, ladies and gentlemen. Action time. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, there we go, there we go. They were hiding away from me, but we found one. Will it stay locked on? And it lost it. Honestly, I'm not so sure about this bird tracking mode. I think, from my observations so far, I don't think it's any better than what they already had. Obviously, if I had this 400 or 800 lens, it would really help and benefit. However, this bird was not too far from me, so I expected that I would be able to get focus when it's just like it's just right here. That's not even that far away. Just right there. And it lost focus. And this lens is one of the S-line lenses too, so it should be more than good enough at tracking these birds. However, I'm losing them non-stop, and they're right in front of me. User error or what? Let me know. Looking at this scene here, there's a very large group of birds right here. With the subject detection on here, hopefully you can see this. I understand there's quite a bit of glare. I'm going to press record now on the video And it seems like the box is going to these mushroom sort of feeding devices rather than the birds. So it's being tricked quite easily, and I haven't noticed it actually follow a bird at all since turning this on yet. And this is with the bird detection on. I'll show you. Auto area, autofocus, bird detect is on. I can change that to the subject tracking mode, and I haven't noticed it follow a single bird yet. Back home now, and I've fully edited the footage, and I just want to share my thoughts on this newest update. First off, the bird tracking was all right. It seemed like it did an okay job as long as there's not too many things in front of the subject. I do really like the function that allows you to record a video when something enters the scene. I did find that that had worked for me. However, for whatever reason, it was cutting up the segments into small little fragments that were like 1 or 2 seconds. So I think I still need to work on my settings there and have it set so that once it sees motion, it captures for however many seconds before it stops, because I think me just standing still, it caused it to cut out and then create just a whole bunch of tiny little scenes because of this. But all in all, it seems like it works. I just need to tweak it quite a bit more. The pixel shift shooting, as I mentioned, is just really quite a bit of a hassle. I'm not sure I'm going to use that much. If it did it in camera, I think it would be another story, but going into the NX Studio, that is, for me, is really laggy. I can't say that I enjoy spending any amount of time in that. One of my favorite additions is this N-Log View Assist getting an update to it. It's pretty good now. However, I think we should still be able to get LUTs to use within N-Log. One other feature that I haven't gotten into yet is they actually added an ability to add a voice memo to a photograph that you take in order to create a sort of voice memo note system for it. And I believe you do that by holding the shutter when taking a photo. Not entirely sure how that works. I think you have to be in single shot mode for it to work. However, that is an option now, and it's a little interesting. I've never heard of that being a thing on the camera before, but Nikon is blessing us, I guess. Another interesting feature that they added is called maximum aperture live view, and this actually allows you to use the lowest aperture on your lens. Say you have a 1.2 lens, it uses that aperture in order to autofocus and allows you to compose your scene before switching it back to, say, f8. And this is particularly useful when shooting in, say, a studio environment, especially without a modeling light, because it will be quite dark until the flash goes off if you're doing flash portrait photography. All in all, a really useful feature. Okay, now last thing I want to talk about in this firmware update 2.0, they removed the EVF feature from accidentally going on when you're using the live view LCD. And this is going to be particularly useful for people using things like gimbals, which would automatically detect through the eye sensor that something was in front of it, and then it would switch over to the EVF, and they've actually removed that from happening when it is out and you're using the live view mode. So really awesome feature to have, and it'll be particularly useful for video shooters alike. There were quite a few other things that they included in this update, but I'm going to actually put that in some notes here on the screen, and you can just look over these updates. All in all, I'm really happy that they're still updating these cameras, and they're including a lot of things that were on the Z8 and the Z9. So I really have to thank Nikon for doing that. All in all, this is a pretty new camera that I think they should be able to fit at least a few more updates in before they stop updating it entirely. All right, well, that does it. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more Nikon content in the near future. I'm sorry if the bird test sucked. Let me know if you have any thoughts of how I could have improved, even though I'm not necessarily a bird shooter. Anyways, take care, and what do you think about the updates? Bye-bye.